In the NCAA tournament, there always seems to be that one kid who gets hot and becomes a tournament legend that seemingly gets talked about every March for the rest of time. Of course, St. Peter's had the mustache kid. Marquise Noel for Kansas State came out of nowhere. Just some recent legends that achieved that status, surely. But you also had guys like Dante DiVincenzo and Steph Curry, whose stock rose to levels they probably didn't even think were possible. And it was because of what they did in the tournament. And this year's tournament, of course, is no different, headlined by none other than our boy, DJ Burns. And Jason, my good friend, my trainer, I'm very curious your thoughts on his meteoric rise to the top, because what he's doing is honestly just poetic basketball.
That's a fact. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that one. The simple fact that this kid came from two different programs and just kept trying and kept at it when he was at Winthrop, and now he's at NC State, and he taking his team to the Final Four says a lot, because he could have taken the easy road out. You know, he didn't. He put himself on that stage.
Yeah, I don't think it's a question whether or not his stock went up or down. Obviously, his stock went up. So I think the real question is, does DJ Burns' stock rise enough to be league bound? And for me, I think it's still very tough, but I said it before. You can't teach someone how to have a natural feel for the game. DJ Burns has a very natural feel for the game. It's very hard to get someone to have footwork like that at that size. And his footwork to me is like A plus. Clearly he's a good guy. His teammates seem to love him. And I think at 6'7" or 6'9", whatever he is, obviously the height could be a little bit of a problem. But I say this before, all you can ask for in life is an opportunity. And he has the opportunity to go against Zach Edey. And if he just keeps him in check, right? I'm not saying he has to go out and put up 20 and 10 on his head, but if he can keep Zach Edey in check and keep the game close and score in the post and get to the line, you have to invite this kid to the combine. Have to.
I agree with you. And I'm not so sure if he only has to keep him in check, because Ansley, our good friend, kept Edey in check last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
His stock went nowhere, you know, like that's not a big enough, substantial enough amount of work. He has to do more. He has to put the same numbers up that he's been putting up against Purdue in order for his stock to rise for the NBA. When we said his stock rose, we was talking about in terms of just being on the radar. But now trying to get drafted and make a team, listen, I definitely think he has a shot, because like you said, his footwork is impeccable. And if he's only going to work and get stronger and get faster and get smarter, then you got to see that this young man has a very high ceiling, because he can shape himself up, get a little bit faster, get a little bit quicker, knock down that mid-range jump shot, put it on the deck, make other people better, doing what he's done, but now doing it at a higher level. I definitely think he can make an NBA team. He's similar to Kenny Lofton Jr., who we saw come out and do work and look just like Zach Randolph, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a space for guys like those in the league, because we tough, gritty guys who just get it done on both ends, don't really say much and just work and give you numbers at that.
Yeah.
I
You heard streets are calling him Gen Zebo?
I didn't hear that. That's crazy. I mean, you gotta put that there.
Got to. All right, moving on. This is an interesting one. Tyler Kolek. Marquette was a very popular pick, obviously, to get to the Final Four, and they fell short of that in large part because of DJ Burns, who we just spoke about. But I want to hear your thoughts on this one. But for Kolek, stock up or stock down?
Stock is always up for this kid. There's a space for him in the league as well, because I think it was Kenyon Martin. Somebody said the only point guard they ever witnessed that was super dominating was Jason Kidd, because he never had to score the ball and he made every single player on the team better. I think that's what you got in this kid right here.
That's I see a lot of that too. I don't mean to like reiterate the same thing I just said about DJ Burns, but when you talk about feel for the game,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, Tyler Kolek's feel for the game, you cannot teach that. There's no coach that can properly get that into your head. You either have that or you don't. Like size, you can't teach it. Feel for the game, you can't teach it. Effort, you can't really teach that. Like those are three things you just either have or you don't. Bro, Tyler Kolek's feel for the game is next level. I don't think it hurts his stock what happened in the tournament, but I will say NC State had him completely flustered.
And he's entitled to have one bad game.
Yeah.
You know, like it's unfortunate the time that he had the bad game, but my man was cooking all season.
Yeah.
All season without scoring buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that.
Yeah. Moving on though. All right. Well, I'll go first. For me, I guess his stock goes up. I say that reluctantly, but I'm not a Zach Edey hater, but his stock not really going up for me. I say that because he didn't teach. He just affirmed what I already knew about him on this tournament run. The numbers are great. He's dominant. We get it. But you're not coming out and guarding anyone on the perimeter. And his touch, yeah, it's gotten better, but he does not have a natural touch.
No.
And he's a good free throw shooter. I'll give him that. But just don't let the awards, don't let the Final Four, like none of that is gonna fool me about this kid. Like he is what he is. He's big as shit. He's gonna be, giving people a hard time in the NBA. But don't make me out for a fool. And I'm not gonna think that this kid is some special talent that we've never seen before.
I'm not gonna say we've never seen it before, but I will say that the NBA lacks what he does. You know, we don't have the prototypical 5-man who does what he does and bangs and gets points in the paint besides Joker, but Joker steps out and shoots the three and he facilitates and he can guard. That's the difference that we're talking about. Him guarding will be an issue, but his numbers was astronomical this year, Hank. There's no way you can run on this man. He getting 40 and 20. He putting up numbers he didn't last year. So for me, his stock has risen through the roof. And when he gets to the league, I see him being a very, very huge factor on his team because he can have some sort of rim protection, maybe not step out and guard so much, but he'll give you some rim protection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, streets are calling him Foul Ming. Moving on. Filipowski. I'll say this. For Kyle Filipowski, I was already very skeptical about what he could be in the NBA because when I watch him play, I don't know how his game could possibly translate because he's not high level in any particular area of the floor. And position-wise, he's very much a tweener. He's too small to be an effect down low, and he's too big to beat guys off the dribble on the perimeter in the NBA. So for me, his stock went down in the tournament even more so, and I was already pretty low on him because DJ Burns cooked him in the post. DJ Burns clamped him on the other end, and Filipowski mentally got completely beat. The kid on NC State, I believe his name is Middlebrooks, the nephew of Danny Cannell, he went in. That motherfucker Middlebrooks knew the assignment. He understood the fucking assignment. He got in there against Duke and just did all the nitpicky shit, grabbing his jersey, fucking with him, elbowing him, all the shit that you do to your kids when you're training to toughen them up and make sure they don't bite on that shit mentally. And Filipowski was completely broken by it, completely taken off his game. You let that kid break you mentally. And there's not anything wrong with Ben Middlebrooks, but like that kid Middlebrooks is not an NBA player. And he was a big reason as to why Filipowski looked horrible.
Understood, and I definitely agree with you to a certain extent about Filipowski. Only thing different is he is very skilled, Hank. I mean, very skilled. You can't take away from him. He can dribble. He can shoot. He can post up. He's playing on different levels of the court. So I know what you're saying. He's not really great at any one of those things, but he can step out and shoot the three. He can put it on the deck, go around you, beat you off the bounce, and finish at the rim, over the rim. He can definitely shoot the midi. And then on defense, you see what he's doing. He's intimidating little guards from coming in the lane. He's smacking that shit out of it. He can be utilized on the NBA level at the next level for an NBA team. He can be used.
Next one. My guy, RJ Davis.
New York,
So
stand up.
yeah, love RJ Davis. I think the issue with RJ Davis in the tournament was it was way, 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 way too much hero ball. And it's tough because the hero ball is what got them to the Final Four when they made it in 2022, if we're being honest. It was the hero ball between him and Caleb Love, and how poetic that they both went out shooting 0 for 9 from 3. And if I'm being honest, taking a lot of forced rushed shots. I thought RJ Davis did a really poor job letting things come to him, because when he's such a good scorer, so natural, so gifted, so fast, his first step is crazy. And I do think RJ Davis has a very good potential as a professional, whether it be here, whether it be overseas. But he completely was forcing things. He rushed a lot of shots in the final stretch of that game against Alabama. But I don't know. I guess for me, I guess his stock slightly goes down, but not enough to affect his career in a bad way. But your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. I listen, I was very fortunate to be able to play against RJ Davis in high school. Not against, but coach against him while he was a player at Stepinac. And I've seen him up front, close and personal, and he is the goods, right? And then watching him at North Carolina thrive into the player he is today, he only got better. Everything about him is better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only thing that I got to say was he didn't let the game come to him this last game. And if I'm being real honest, and I love RJ Davis to death, love him as a player and as a person, the little I do know about him, he shot them out the game, because even though he was struggling, North Carolina was not out the game. So when he started forcing those threes because he just was searching for that first one, it just got him out the rhythm of trying to get that lead and hold on to it, because he beat the defense a few times off the screen and finished at the rim. And I thought, oh, all right, he's about to switch it up. He going to get on the roll. And he just never let the game come. You can't really say let the game come to you, because it's 4 minutes left on the clock, At that point in the game, you got to do what you got to do to win, and I do understand that. But I felt like he should have just lived in the paint a little bit more. He had like 7, 8 assists, if I'm not mistaken. He could have won the game without scoring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough. It was a tough way to go out for Carolina, and he didn't have his best game, and no one else really had their best game either.
Yeah,
I thought Carolina, it was, so it's not just on him. They went toe-to-toe with Alabama for 38 minutes, and the final 2 minutes got outplayed, and that's how your season ends. So it is what it is. Next one, Jared McCain. Oh my gosh, dude. I'll say this about Jared McCain. I love his game. I love how he plays. His first step is so quick, so decisive. He always knows what he's doing with the ball before he even gets it. He's got a very natural jump shot, I think. I think the issue is, I think it's awesome that he paints his nails and does all this shit. I think it's cool that he expresses himself. I love that we live in a society that, generally speaking, accepts this. But NBA locker rooms are not a direct reflection of society. And the stuff that's welcomed by the general population and Gen Z isn't always stuff that's going to be welcomed in an NBA locker room. And I do think the antics, when things get tough and the going gets tough in an NBA season, I think that stuff could rub teammates the wrong way about Jared McCain. And I want to be very clear. Me personally, I think I love that he does whatever he wants. The man just secured a crazy fucking bag for painting his nails. Like, dude, good on you, right? You'd be a hater if you thought otherwise. But doesn't mean his antics and the way he acts, on social media is going to go over well with every NBA teammate he has.
So I don't think it matters so much about the teammates, right? You got to see about the GM and the organization and the coach, right? If they accept it, they'll get the players to buy in. You understand? Because one thing's for sure and two things for certain, the boy could play. He could hoop. That motherfucker was cooking.
Yeah.
Cooking.
Yeah.
And his jumper remind me of Quickly a lot. Man, Quickly, he get that shit off. Bow! You don't even know. You look at the shit already in. He's running back on defense.
Right.
His trigger is ready to go. So at that rate, an NBA team is gonna find a way to make it work. Because, like you said, maybe it's not accepted, but it is in some places because there are players that do it. You know? Jordan Clarkson is one of them. Jalen Green is one of them. And that's just who they are. And they come out on a nightly basis and cook the shit out of the opponent. So at that rate, it'll work.
It's all going to come down to it's all going to come down to production too, because think about it, like Dennis Rodman was always doing weird things, painting his nails, dressing up like crazy. And it's like, all right, well, if you have a problem with it, go say something to him then.
Right.
You won't.
Because his numbers spoke for itself, though. You know, like you didn't want to say anything. What could you say? The man had 0 points, 21 rebounds, 3 blocks, probably took like 6 charges. You know, like what can you say to a man who just did that?
Right. Nothing. Thank you. Paint my shit too. Put some paint on my shit. Moving on. But I know you wanted to talk about Sears.
Oh, you know I like Mark Sears, boy. My son right there is a killer. Got that shit on a string. Tell me what you think about his stock.
Can you just talk about how Mark Sears was at a military academy high school when he was a senior? And then he was that Ohio point guard, I believe, on the team that beat Virginia, but had a good career at, or did I say Iowa? Excuse me, Ohio. To have the path that he's had, and now you're heading to your first Final Four, bro, the biggest thing for him, listen to this. When Sears was at Ohio, he shot under 30% from 3. Right? He just did not have the jump shot figured out. This season, he's shooting 43.4% from 3, and he leads the team in scoring over 20 a game. To go from that piss poor shooting to what you are now in the green light he has, that's the military academy in him right there.
That's that discipline, boy, to work. The work will always show. Period. Now look, who's laughing? He holding up that left hand like cash me
Stock up.
out. I think he'll get a shot on an NBA team just the same way the other small guards got a shot at the NBA. Marquise Noel, Jordan Walker. These guys have chances, and they're floating around in there right now. He's going to get a chance as well because my boy can fill it up.
I think so.